Hello YouTube. This is going to be about open source software because, quite frankly, there's a few people who don't really understand open source software and how it works. And it's understandable really, because our lives are spent around a certain way of working. If we want something, we go to a shop that sells it, we hand over money, we get what we want, and we take it away and treat it as ours. And when we take closed source software, we're going to a shop and we can either buy it off the shelf or buy it off the internet, and we feel like we've done the usual transaction. But software isn't really like that. You're not really buying the software, you're only buying a license to use it. And there's a few other things which we seem to instinctively know. Like, if we have a problem with, say, Microsoft Office, and we got trouble, we don't instinctively call Microsoft. You take almost anything else that we buy, and if we got problems, we're straight back to the shop or straight onto the manufacturer. Somehow, with software, we instinctively know that we can't go back to the manufacturer. But open source software, it makes us uncomfortable because we're not paying anything for this. So it's no wonder that it upsets us somehow. It takes some odd balance away from us. It may seem incredible, but there are people out there whose primary drives are not financial. Some people just love the intellectual challenge of programming. Others have a particular problem that nobody else's program has solved, so they write their own. Others have loved experimenting and written games, and for some of those it's resulted in software which has really become a hit and catapulted them into the gaming industry, and there they have made money, and good on them. But for the rest of us, we were using systems like public brand software, for example. This is my paperwork from when I used to deal with that side of things in the late 80s, early 90s, and that's what kicked a lot of this off. I mean, thanks to the Computer Literacy Project, there was pretty much an army of kids at home programming for the heck of it. And, well, beyond pocket money, what did any of us know of financial considerations? And then came the internet. The internet was a game changer. Physical location on the planet was no longer an issue. People of like mind could come together and collaborate on some pretty big projects. Some of them have had a fair impact on the commercial world as well. The costs weren't that much, just enough to maintain a presence on the internet. Some file sharing, a chat system, something like that, a forum, that's all they needed. And throughout that, with systems like SVN, people have been able to contribute bits and pieces of code to build whole systems, and some of them are quite impressive. But there is money to be made here, not in this sort of license purchasing consumeristic sense that you or I know, but in the world of the corporates who use this software. They typically need help. That's why they'll take out support contracts, or when they need to, they'll call in a consultant, and that costs them money, and that money then goes back to support the creation and the development of the open source software. But what about the question of longevity? Surely if people have come together of their own free will, what's to stop them just drifting away further on down the line because of boredom or some other factors? Surely you're better off spending your money on a commercial product? But therein lies the rub, because by making that argument you've immediately realised that if you buy something like this, your money is spent, the product is there, it needs no further maintenance. Apart from when it breaks, you're certainly not going to ask the potter to come back and enhance the mug with further features. That's exactly what people expect of software. It needs patching. The bugs that are in it need continual fixing. That needs more money. And when you're on the commercial side of it, if you've just got a single sale, where's your money coming from to keep the product rolling? So commercial software is just as capable of being canned as open source projects. Take Microsoft about a year or two ago when things started to bite hard. They canned an awful lot of projects. one of which was the popular home accounting software, Money. They left their customers with a sunset version, and that's it. In order to keep money flowing, many of the commercial enterprises have to keep getting you to part with money for upgrades and other features. Otherwise, they'd run out of money pretty fast. So, a lot of people don't exactly like that, because it's a sort of a built-in obsolescence. You'll probably find that, let's say you were on operating system A, and you were using PhotoTool 1. You wanted to update to PhotoTool 2, but it didn't work with your operating system. You'd have to upgrade your operating system in order to get it to work. The operating system being more demanding meant you'd have to buy faster hardware. So things like that mean it's always money, money, money. It's no surprise that people don't like that approach to things. There's also the issue of transparency. Closed source. Say you were to buy a lemon cheesecake. You wouldn't get to see the recipe. You wouldn't get to see the factory in which it was made, the people that made it. You wouldn't be able to judge the quality of the raw materials that were going into that. You'd just be buying the finished product. With open source, the source code that makes the product is open, so other people can see it, other people can read it, other people can judge what it is. And that's important in these days of privacy, because some of the corporates are doing things that, quite frankly, they shouldn't do. And that is to deal with our privacy. Say like emailing back or details of where we've been with our mobile phones. That one hit lately. There was a case of a phone carrier downloading software to its customers' Blackberries that would copy all of their conversations to another secret server. There are things like that going on in the corporate world, in the closed source world. In the open source world, there are other people who can see what's going on. And if there is anything going on that shouldn't, you can bet that they're going to call foul pretty quickly, and the community will know about it very fast. Open source can also mean open standards. Now this can be a difficult one to explain, so bear with me. As I've explained before, commercial enterprises have a continual need for money. They need to make sure that the money keeps coming in. So they have a financial vested interest here. Let's say that I was to buy a word processor from Company X. Company X have a vested interest in keeping me as a customer, so that when I'm next in the market for a new piece of word processing software, that I spend my money with them. So what one of the oldest tricks is that the documents that I make with that piece of software are tied down to their format. Only their software is able to read that work. If I was in the market and I was decided to go with a competitor's piece of word processing software, then I'd be in a dilemma, because the odds are that that competitor's software would not be able to read the year's worth of work that I've been writing and saving. I'd have little option other than to go back to the original Company X, or else ditch all those years worth of work, or try and find some conversion system. If you have an open document standard, then pretty much what you write is then portable, because all the other pieces of software adhere to that standard. So it wouldn't matter which word processing software I used, they would all be able to read and write that open standard. That would save me an awful lot of grief. To summarize, software which is funded by an ongoing revenue stream, such as consultancy fees, support contracts, is arguably more viable than those that are funded by one-off licensing fees. And that's principally because of the ongoing maintenance costs that are involved in patches to fix security vulnerabilities and programming flaws. Software that doesn't live or die by the number of customers it has can be free to develop and can collaborate even with competitors. It therefore doesn't have to tie the customer into its solution, and they can develop open standards for exchanging information with other systems. There isn't that much software that works on Windows, Linux and Mac, but most of it that I know of is open source. Software that's open to scrutiny can give communities more faith in it because people can see what it's doing. But software that is free, having said all that, comes with no liability, no warranty, no promise of performance even. Open source software, for all that it is and for all that it brings to the table, is still no magic bullet to the answer of the question of which software you should be using. But at least, having watched all this, you should now begin to have a grip on the kinds of questions that you need to be asking, whether you think that you should go for commercial software or open source software. The only thing you can really do is go to the community, ask people what they're using, ask their opinions. And, well, if open source software is free, the least you can do is download it and give it a shot for yourself. If you don't like what's out there, then you can go to the commercial market. It's your choice. Well, good luck.